Hey guys, today we are going to be graphing systems of inequalities. Okay, so we're going to start off with our system of inequalities, and let's say I have two inequalities, all right, linear inequalities. So we'll have y, okay, is less than x plus 2, and in your book, in your textbook, is probably going to have this with one right underneath it. But I'm going to write them side by side, okay? So the other one is going to be y is greater than negative 2 x minus 1. Okay? So if you remember your slope-intercept form for a line, it's y equals mx plus b. And you should be able to, if you know the line, if you can see the line in that form, you should be able to draw the line for that equation. So if we look here and we figure out, I want to know what is b and what is m. All right? Now I look to see what b is. B is whatever plus some number or minus some number. But here it's plus some number. So that would mean that b is 2. Okay? Now what is m? M is whatever is multiplied by x. Well, there's no number in front of my x here. So I'm going to say that it's 1 because that's 1x. Okay? So I know that my y-intercept is 2 and my slope is 1. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll graph those. But first I also want to know what kind of a line is this, okay? So if it is an inequality that does not have a line underneath it saying that it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, then it would be dotted, okay? So I'll put that over here. These are dotted. And the ones that look like this are solid. Okay? So I'm going to need to find out, is this dotted or solid? Well, this one does not have a line underneath it, so it's y is less than x plus 2, so therefore it is dotted. Okay? So now I can draw that line, that dotted line. So I'm going to use colored pencils here just so that you can hopefully see it a little better. So my y-intercept is 2, so I'm going to start in the origin and I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to make a point right there. Okay. And then from there my slope is 1. Well, slope is rise over run. So I'm going to rise 1 and run 1 because 1 is 1 over 1. I'm going to rise 1 and run 1. Okay, so from this point, I'm going to rise 1 and run 1. And because it's dotted, I could continue that process. Rise 1, run 1. Okay, and make sure your line is a straight line. If it starts to curve at all, then, maybe you made some mistakes there. Okay, and so maybe I'll grab my ruler, finish the dotted line with the ruler. Okay, let's tighten that up a little bit. There we go. All right, so now I need to ask, where do I shade? Okay, I have to shade this. All right, so when I shade it, I have to see if I shade on this side or this side of the line. And here's how you determine where you shade. I'm going to erase these for now. Okay, so where do I shade? Well, typically I like to pick the point 0, 0 to see if I shade where 0, 0 exists. And if it works, then I shade where 0, 0 exists. If I plug in 0, 0 and it doesn't work, I shade where 0, 0 does not exist. So for the point of this, I will plug in 0, 0 as my point to check into this to see if it works, okay? So I have 0 is less than 0 plus 2. Okay? Well, 0 is less than 2. Well, that's true. So yes, this is true. So wherever 0, 0 exists in this plane, I can shade it red. Okay? So 0, 0 is on this side of the line, so I'm going to shade this side of the line red. Don't color it in super dark. You just want to get the idea that that's where the correct answer exists. Okay? All right, well, that's it for that one. Now we have to go over here and do the same thing here. All right, so we're going to check for B and M. Okay, on this one, B is -1 because it's -1, right? Here's our B. It's -1. Okay, and M is -2. But because it's just an integer, we're going to say it's -2 over 1. Okay, so if you get a number, let's work on making the slope, just for the sake of graphing, we're going to put it over 1. If it were a fraction, that would be fine. You can leave it as a fraction. But we always make an integer into a fraction by putting it over 1. And remember, this is rise over run. Okay? So, but I need to determine, is this going to be a dotted or a solid line? Well, we look right here. There's no line, so it is going to be dotted. Okay? So this one, though, I'm going to do a different color. I'm going to do blue because I want to be able to distinguish from the red here, okay? So first thing I do is I go to my B, which is my y-intercept. So this is the y-axis, okay? All right, and I'm going to make a dot at -1 on the y-axis. There we go. Hope you can see that. Next, I'm going to make a slope from this point, not from the center, but from this point. So I'm going to rise -2 and run 1. Well, if I rise negative, that's going down. Remember, rise negative is to go down. So I'm going to go down 2 and always run to the right. Okay? And then there is my point, and now, or there's my 2 points so that I can connect them into a dotted line, right? Because we're going to do dotted because it is greater than. Okay? No line underneath it. No line underneath it, so it's going to be dotted. Okay? So I'm going to connect these 2 points with a dotted line, right? Okay. So now I need to determine where am I going to shade. Am I going to shade on this side of the blue line or this side of the blue line? And we can use 0, 0 again because 0, 0 is not on the blue line, okay? If 0, 0 were on the blue line, we would not want to use it. We'd have to pick another point, like 1, 1 or something, okay? So, but if I plug in 0, 0, all right, I'm going to erase my B and erase my M here. And then so I'm going to plug in 0, 0 here. So I got 0, -2 times 0 minus 1. So that's 0 is greater than 0 minus 1. Okay. Well, that's 0 is greater than -1. Well, that's true. So I'm going to shade where 0, 0 exists. Okay, so since 0, 0 is here, I'm going to shade on this side of the blue line. Whoop. All right, so what we're looking for is where do they overlap? Well, here it's just red. Here it's just blue. Here there's no shading at all. Right here, you see this area right here? This is where they overlap, and that's where you can shade a little darker just to show that that is where they overlap. So the answer to this problem then, right, would be that this area right here is where those two overlap. And that's the answer. And how you solve, find a solution for graphing inequalities. Hope that helps.